Joining us right now to talk more about that is the Wall Street Journal's technology and autos reporter, Tim Higgins. Tim, good to see you. Your reaction to this, the response and the backlash?
Well, it was more than an hour call of him really saying, hey, we were slow to respond, but it's unfair to say that we were standing in the way or trying to ignore it. But a lot of the criticism has followed saying, you know, how did you not know about some of these efforts that the company was taking and kind of pushing back against the criticism and trying to, you know, improve the company's outlook, especially among Congress, as criticism grew there.
Hey, Tim, this is Brian Brenberg. I mean, the real story here seems to me to be the political maneuvering in the background, and Zuckerberg just had nothing to say about that. And I think that's the story people are looking at and saying, gee, you're supposed to be the company of openness and transparency, but look at all the backroom dealing to try to smear competitors or try to pull politicians into your camp.
Yeah, a lot of questions being raised about really Sheryl Sandberg's role in all of this. You know, remember, she was brought in famously as the adult in the room a number of years ago when the company was trying to go from, you know, a dorm room company from Harvard into the behemoth that it's become, and got a lot of credit for that. But we find out that she spent a lot of time in the last year or so really working Capitol Hill, using her sway there to kind of fend off, you know, the growing concerns there, concerns about the Democrats, concerns about the Republicans, all, you know, coming after Facebook.
Good morning. It's Liz Peek. Just a question. At the end of the day, what we're going to care about is the number of users. Has all of these accusations and transgressions really impacted the number of users? Are people getting off of Facebook, in your view, because of this?
Well, there's been concerns about the usage at Facebook in general. Luckily, they've had an investment in Instagram. That's been one of the things that's really been the bright spot for the future. Young people going to that platform, the photo sharing platform. But the stock has been under, you know, under pressure, especially as the company is talking about, you know, increased cost to fight this fake news and fake users and really spend money to kind of address some of these issues. You know, there's concerns there about that for the next year or so. It's going to cost billions to address these issues.
Hey, Tim, Mike Block here. You know, one thing that's not being talked about this morning but has become an issue recently, and I feel like it's going to become more of one, is WhatsApp. What's happening is in WhatsApp, we've seen in India and then in Mexico, it's actually been used to incite mob violence. This has happened. It's been covered in the U.S. press a little bit. Is this something that you're hearing about in your channels? Are we going to hear more about this now? Is this the next thing that Facebook has to get over, given their ownership of WhatsApp?
Well, absolutely. I mean, this kind of the bigger conversation about what responsibility does Facebook have for the way its platforms are being used or misused. The company founded under this idea of bringing people together, that this is all a good thing, and seemingly surprised when bad actors out there use these tools to do bad things. In particular, look at places like Myanmar, where there's been fake news there and accusations of violence in other parts of the world using some of these fake stories. It's something that Silicon Valley in general it seems to be struggling with, the idea that their technology might be mispurposed.
Yeah, and one of the issues here is, you mentioned technology. These companies have seen themselves as tech companies from their beginning, and yet they've really morphed into major media companies. A lot of people getting much of their news from places like Facebook and Twitter, et cetera. So given their power, their size, their influence, what kind of a regulatory backdrop are you expecting? They've been in the crosshairs of regulators for about a year now. Do you think we are going to see a tougher regulatory stance, and what might that look like?
Well, we're already seeing tougher questions. We've seen a lot of tough questions from places like Senator Mark Warner, who's been very aggressive in this regard. And that was one of the interesting things we saw in some of this recent reporting, is just the way that Facebook was trying to kind of soften his tone. They hired one of his former top aides to push back against him. They reached out to Chuck Schumer's office to help him try to smooth things out. You know, there's a fear of what the government's going to do here. We've seen it in Europe as well with data privacy, and these tech companies don't want more regulation, but it seems to be heading towards a greater discussion.
So in terms of specifics, in terms of what that might look like, I mean, would you expect these companies to be forced to get smaller, or do you think the regulation is around privacy and would mean extra costs in terms of changing their business?
Probably the idea of a breakup is at this point is maybe hard to see here in the U.S., but more costs. That's what we saw in Europe, is more costs, more reporting requirements, fines for not responding quick enough, these sorts of things.
Yeah. Michael, do you like this stock?
You know, I look at this stock, and the growth is slowing. I'm not quite so sure it's anything other than little bumps in the road.
So you would buy Facebook shares?
Well, I can't be recommending or selling stocks, but I do like the sector. I do like tech, and I think that if you want to look for growth, it's going to be companies like Facebook. This is still where the potential is. We talked about how this company's morphed into more of a media company. There's the growth opportunity. Frankly, I'm listening to what Zuckerberg said overnight, the clip we played, and I feel like we've been hearing about this forever. When the Cambridge news came out, Facebook was going to zero. It's not going to zero,
and they just got
we keep hearing that. I don't think these guys really care.
But isn't there an issue about just the cost of all this self-regulation? I mean, they are hiring a huge number of people, it seems to me, and that is expensive. I mean, one of the great things about the tech industry is you didn't have a lot of worker bees. Now they're having to ramp up to oversee their own content, and I don't even think they're at first base in trying to oversee their own content.
Yeah. What do you think, Tim?
Yeah, well, even yesterday, Facebook announcing that they're going to have an independent committee to review the company's decisions on questionable content, kind of a check and balance scenario. That's going to be, more layers of effort there. And this is messy kind of work. They had hoped that AI technology could do some of this, but are finding they're having to train people to go through those offensive posts, and it's tedious.
But I think that, one of the points back to what Mike said is what really matters is how much of this filters down to the users' clicks, the users scrolling, how much of this is going to affect Instagram usage. I mean, I talked to my students and try to get a sense for how much they cared about this story.
Have they changed?
It's just not penetrating to that level. Instagram as a platform is just so sticky and so attractive. Even if they're moving away from Facebook, Facebook owns other platforms. And so, again, why has a stock...
What's up?
I mean, it's been hit, but why has it not dropped as much as possible?
Yeah.
Because it's still a platform that younger generations really like.
Yeah, what are you going to do? Go buy paper stocks instead of this? Like, I don't really see the point here. The point is, this is still where the growth is. Again, the expansion, the platforms, as Brian puts it. This is where the action is.
And it is all about growth. Guys, thank you very much. Tim Higgins, good to see you, sir. We appreciate your weighing in.